Imagine being the person who created a logo now worth billions, only to walk away with a paycheck for exactly $35. The two men who commissioned it didn't even like it. One of them said, and I'm paraphrasing, that it would have to grow on him. Today, that logo is on a $50 billion brand, worn by the greatest athletes in the world, and that student never received royalties for it. This is the real story of Nike, built on borrowed money, a stolen idea, a waffle iron, and a partnership that nearly tore itself apart before the world ever heard of it. Phil Knight was a middle-distance runner at the University of Oregon in the late 1950s. He was good enough to run for legendary coach Bill Bowerman, but not great. What Knight had, beyond athletic talent, was a restless entrepreneurial mind and a hunch that would eventually be worth billions. American athletes in the 1950s and 1960s were running in heavy, poorly designed shoes made by American companies. The best running shoes in the world came from Japan and Germany, Onitsuka Tiger and Adidas. Knight believed there was an opportunity to import Japanese running shoes to America at a fraction of the German price while matching or exceeding the quality. After graduating from Oregon with a business degree, Knight enrolled at Stanford Business School for a class project. He wrote a paper on the idea of importing Japanese running shoes. His professor gave him a B+ and told him it was an interesting concept. Knight took it more seriously than a class project. In 1962, he flew to Japan on a round-the-world trip, walked into the Onitsuka Tiger factory in Kobe, and, without any authority whatsoever, introduced himself as the representative of a company called Blue Ribbon Sports. The company did not exist. Knight made it up on the spot. The Japanese were charmed by his audacity and gave him the American distribution rights. If you love stories about founders who made it up as they went along, who built empires out of nothing but stubbornness and a good idea, subscribe to SnapOldBusiness. New videos 3 times a week, every story researched from primary sources. Hit subscribe and let's get back to Phil Knight's very expensive improvisation. Back in Oregon, Knight called his old coach Bill Bowerman and proposed a partnership. Each would put in $500. Bowerman, despite being 30 years older than Knight and already an established coaching legend, said yes immediately. Blue Ribbon Sports was founded in January 1964 with a handshake and $1,000 combined. Knight ran the business from the trunk of his car, literally driving to track meets across the Pacific Northwest, selling Onitsuka Tiger shoes out of the back of a green Plymouth Valiant. In the first year, he sold $1,200 worth of shoes and thought he was on the verge of something enormous. Bowerman's contribution to the partnership was not money or salesmanship, it was obsessive product design. From the moment Blue Ribbon Sports began, Bowerman was taking apart Onitsuka Tiger shoes, studying their construction, and sending detailed letters to the Japanese factory suggesting improvements. He was relentless and specific, and the Japanese factory, impressed by his technical knowledge, began implementing his suggestions. Bowerman was essentially doing free product development for a company he didn't own in exchange for distribution rights he shared with his former student. And then he had an idea that would change the shoe industry forever. On a Sunday morning in 1971, Bill Bowerman was eating breakfast and staring at his wife's waffle iron. He was thinking about running shoe outsoles, specifically about how to create a lighter, grippier sole that would give runners better traction on the track. He looked at the waffle grid pattern and had one of those moments of pure creative insight. He poured liquid urethane into his wife's waffle iron, ruined it completely, and created the first waffle-patterned running sole. The waffle outsole became the defining feature of Nike's early shoes and one of the key reasons runners switched from competitors. Barbara Bowerman never forgave him for the waffle iron. By the early 1970s, Blue Ribbon Sports had grown significantly. They were selling millions of dollars worth of Onitsuka Tiger shoes across America and had become the Japanese company's largest American distributor. And then Knight discovered something that threatened to destroy everything. Onitsuka Tiger was secretly negotiating with other American distributors to replace Blue Ribbon Sports. Knight had built the American market for this brand, had spent nearly a decade establishing the distribution network, and the Japanese company was preparing to cut him out. Knight faced a choice: accept the termination of the relationship or fight back by doing something drastic. Knight chose to fight back by creating his own brand from scratch. He had already been quietly developing relationships with Japanese factories other than Onitsuka. He now moved aggressively to create a completely independent shoe brand, manufactured in Japan, distributed by Blue Ribbon Sports, owned entirely by Knight and Bowerman. The brand needed a name. Knight's team suggested names including Dimension 6, which Knight hated, and others equally forgettable. Jeff Johnson, their first employee, woke up from a dream with the name Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. Knight didn't love it but said it was better than everything else. Nike it was. The new brand also needed a logo. Knight approached graphic design student Carolyn Davidson at Portland State University, whom he had met through a friend. Davidson worked on several designs and presented a series of options. Knight and his team chose what Davidson called the Swoosh, a simple curved check mark suggesting speed and movement. Knight reportedly said something to the effect of, "I don't love it, but it'll do. I'm sure it'll grow on me." He paid Davidson $35 for the design. In 1983, after Nike had become a global brand, Knight gave Davidson a diamond ring and an envelope of Nike stock as a belated thank you, though her exact financial settlement has never been fully disclosed. Nike went public in December 1980. It was one of the most successful IPOs of its era. Phil Knight became a multimillionaire overnight, but the company's most important moment was still 4 years away. In 1984, Nike signed a 21-year-old rookie named Michael Jordan to a shoe deal. Nike paid Jordan $250,000 per year, a record at the time, plus royalties on every Air Jordan shoe sold. Nike's executives believed in Jordan's potential but couldn't have predicted what followed. Air Jordan shoes sold $126 million worth of product in their first year. The shoes were so popular, so culturally dominant, that the NBA actually fined Jordan $10,000 every game he wore them because they violated the league's uniform policy. Nike paid every fine and used it as advertising. The Air Jordan deal established Nike's core strategy for the next 4 decades. Sign the most compelling athletes in the world. Build cultural stories around them, and let the athlete's success become the brand's success. This was not how athletic shoe companies had operated before. Adidas and Converse paid athletes for endorsements but didn't build entire product lines around individual athletes' identities. Nike invented a new model, the athlete as brand co-creator, that transformed sports marketing globally. Today, Air Jordan alone generates over $5 billion per year. It is essentially a brand within a brand, larger than most standalone athletic companies. 3 lessons from Nike's story that every founder should understand. Lesson 1. Fake it until you have to make it true. Phil Knight had no company, no products, no authority when he walked into the Onitsuka factory in 1962 and introduced himself as a representative of Blue Ribbon Sports. He made the company real by acting as though it already was. This is not dishonesty. It is the courage to present your vision as reality while you work to catch up to it. Every great founder has done a version of this. Lesson 2. Your supplier becoming your competitor is one of the most common and deadly business risks. Knight depended entirely on Onitsuka Tiger when Onitsuka moved to replace him. He had no leverage except his own ability to create an alternative. The lesson is to build your own assets, your own brand, your own manufacturing relationships, your own customer loyalty, so that no single supplier or partner can destroy you. Lesson 3. The product that seems secondary often becomes the primary asset. Nike's shoes were excellent, but it was the cultural story. Jordan, the swoosh, the just do it positioning, that created the empire. The physical shoe is commoditized, the story around it is not. Whatever business you're building, ask yourself, what is the story your customers are paying to be part of? Phil Knight drove shoes out of the trunk of his car for years before Nike existed. Bill Bowerman ruined a waffle iron to invent a better sole. Carolyn Davidson was paid $35 to create one of the most valuable logos in history, and a Greek goddess's name, chosen because it was better than nothing, became the word that defines athletic performance for 1 billion people. If you want to know how McDonald's built a real estate empire while pretending to be a burger company, that video is on screen now. Like and subscribe if this story was worth your time. I'll see you in the next one.